In the build-up to the 1984 Olympic Games, the International Olympic Committee had one major problem. Nobody wanted to host the Games. This was because after a decade which saw the Olympic Games rocked by political and financial scandal, as well as a devastating terrorist attack, the popularity of the Games was at an all-time low, with cities being less interested than ever before in hosting the Olympics. Until Los Angeles stepped in. Now, before we talk about how Los Angeles saved the Olympics, first, let's talk about why the Olympics needed to be saved. The bottom line is that each of the previous 3 editions of the Olympics had been dominated by huge negative headlines, which had damaged the brand and popularity of the Olympic Games. The worst of these came in the 1972 Munich Olympics, which was marred by a terrorist attack that resulted in the death of 11 athletes. Next came the 1976 Olympics, which saw Montreal, the host city, overrun its budget by over 1,000%, leaving it burdened with a massive $1.6 billion debt that took 30 years to pay off. And then there was the 1980 Olympics in Moscow, which saw the largest boycott in Olympic history, with 66 countries choosing to boycott the Games and led by the United States.
The United States Olympic Committee voted to boycott the Summer Olympic Games in Moscow.
The scandal from the previous 3 Olympics were so bad, there were some predictions that the 1984 Olympics might be the last Games ever held. In fact, 2 months before the Games opening ceremony, one of America's most popular papers ran a headline asking if the Olympics was dead. With that level of negativity, it was not a surprise that very few cities were willing to host the 1984 Olympics. As of 1978, when the host selection was to be decided, Los Angeles was the only city with a submitted bid. And so the International Olympic Committee had no choice and was probably glad it even had a bid to consider. And so the rights of the 1984 Olympic Games was awarded to Los Angeles. Now, for Los Angeles, the pressure was on. The Olympics had become unpopular, with criticism over the level of spending involved in hosting the Games, and so with the entire world watching what some thought could be the last ever Olympics, Los Angeles had to put on a show. The most important thing Los Angeles did was to limit public spending. While the previous Games in Montreal and Moscow had been funded by taxpayer money, and in the case of Montreal had resulted in a black hole of debt, Los Angeles took a different route. Rather than build huge expensive stadiums and venues from scratch with taxpayer funds, Los Angeles chose instead to use existing venues, with the biggest example being the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum, which served as the Olympic Stadium once again after doing so back in 1932, when Los Angeles first hosted the Summer Olympics. Now, when new venues were built, they were done with the support of corporate sponsors. For instance, the Olympic Velodrome was largely funded by 7-Eleven, while the Olympic Swim Stadium was funded by McDonald's. But being smart with public spending was just the beginning. Los Angeles also brought in the use of technology into the Olympic Games, with personal computers used to track results quickly, electronic timers used for swimming and track events, and tools to test athletes for banned substances, as well as personal pages to instantly communicate with these athletes. But perhaps more than anything else, Los Angeles showed the rest of the world that it was possible to make money from hosting the Olympics. With record ticket sales for fans and record revenue from selling exclusive TV broadcast rights, as well as massive sponsorship revenues, the 1984 Olympics saw Los Angeles turn a profit of about $225 million, providing an incredible model for the rest of the world, at a time when there was a huge existential question over the future of the Olympics. And inevitably, this had a major effect, because the Olympics went from having next to no cities interested in hosting the 1984 Games to having a total of 21 bids across the next 4 editions of the Olympics. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, then of course give the video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe as well. That really helps the channel grow. And of course, watch this video next.